still looking for respect nationwide.
1 on Nation. Sending a link here, letting the folk on Twitter know we're going lives. 10 thoughts. It's always good to have 10 thoughts after a victory versus after a loss. Really emotional game last night. It was good to see the guys go through some adversity and persevere. It was good to see the team have some things not work our way and figure out a way to get the dub. There are some concerns, and I'm going to speak to those. Game management comes to mind. Penalties come to mind. Dare I say scheme, right? Something that I'm still extremely concerned about. But wise man once told me, in the SEC, you survive in advance. And I don't know how in good faith I can sit up here and complain during a 10 thoughts after we found a way to win in Neyland at night, ranked opponent, away game, and we haven't won a ranked game against, an away game against a ranked opponent since Lincoln Riley. I'm not going to sit here and doom and gloom you guys today. So locked and loaded, lots to talk about. I think there's a lot of really good things happening. And we'll have that conversation. We'll do some Q&A. I imagine I'll keep to my commitment this time and do 45 minutes versus an hour and 15 minutes like we've done in the past. But yeah, guys, post questions in the Zoom chat, or I say Zoom because I work a lot on Zoom, in the YouTube chat, you know what I'm saying? And I'll address them as needed. Obviously, if somebody does a super chat, I'll recognize that individual and answer that question for sure. But yeah, let's just dive right into it, right? I said this on OU Insider today, and I want you guys to also see. I know a lot of you guys that are watching this pod are diehard fans, and I appreciate those of you who've been with us for 3 years. One of the biggest things I appreciated about college football, and really my experience as an Oklahoma Sooner, obviously playing for a national championship, obviously being a part of Red October 2000 season. In fact, I'm writing a book. All right, I'm gonna drop another excerpt. I think I'm gonna drop the excerpt on Twitter as well. But I'm writing a book. I'm getting some help with it, and it's gonna tell you from a player's perspective what it was like to go through Red October. I still remember like it was yesterday, which is kind of crazy. But I just love those type of atmospheres. I didn't go to the game. Obviously, those of you who know, I got invited to the game, and I told the folk at Tennessee it's the only game I wouldn't go to because there's no way in heaven I'm going to a game at an opponent's stadium rocking their colors if they're playing the Sooners, right? Like if they're playing OU, sorry, bro. Love you to death. Hype, you my guy. I know a lot of their coaches. Seth is there. Hazelton's there. I don't know Landry, but they've got a lot of guys there, and I met the staff and spoke to the team. I would be wearing crimson and cream yesterday. You know what I'm saying? So I just felt like in good faith it didn't make sense to be at that game. But man, I wish I was. 100,000. By the way, I love their stadium. It's an older style. It's a traditional bowl. It doesn't look aesthetically beautiful like ours does as far as I'm concerned, but I mean, it's functional. It does the job. And when I watched them play against some sister of the poor school, I forgot who they played last November when I went to the game. But the atmosphere is legit. And I can only imagine a night game. So if they happen to play another night game, I think that's the game I'm going to go to. But obviously 3 losses. I don't know if they're going to get the primetime game anymore. It means we might get a primetime game in the upcoming weeks just because we continue to win in advance. But it just brings me back to, guys, if you haven't had the opportunity to go to one of those big time games, it just kind of made the hair on the back of my neck kind of raise up a little bit. It kind of reminded me of like, man, Manhattan 2000 season, bonkers. Kyle Field, A&M, the T. Marshall pick six to seal the game. Crazy. I mean, obviously Nebraska in Norman, right? Kind of a rainy preset to the game. Ended up being a beautiful day for Sooners to win and kick ass. Phenomenal. OU Texas, pick your year. That game is every year, right? Every year we play in that game. It's just a magical environment. Um, that game gave me that feel. I bet Tuscaloosa is going to be the same, assuming I think Bama has I don't remember who they have this upcoming week. Maybe it's LSU. I think Bama has LSU this week, and then they've got us next week. So coming off a bye, hopefully mending some of our injuries. That's going to be another environment that's going to be bona fide crazy. If I didn't have another prior engagement, I'd try to make that game too. But yeah, the environment was special. Um, the game is won. This is what I feel. This is what I feel. I feel going into this game, our team still wasn't sure, 100% sure, unequivocally sure, without any doubt that we belonged as a top echelon team in the SEC. And I believe, and I'm going to tell you guys why in a second, and I believe by the end of this game, our guys had a sense and or a feeling that, you know what, there isn't anybody in this conference we can't beat. And I mean that because I watched the first two quarters of the game, and I haven't rewatched it from the perspective I want to rewatch it. I should have did it before I did 10 thoughts, but I'm gonna pick 5 plays and do a. I told you guys this week I'm gonna start doing some play design stuff and show you guys some of the things we see. But I I watched the first half and we look scared. And not scared in the sense of like, oh my God, we're gonna lose, but scared in the sense of like what's gonna happen next. Scared in the sense of like, are we ready or are we able or are do we deserve to win these types of games? And guys, again, you're talking about a team who hasn't won an away game. I don't think anybody on the roster had won an away game against a ranked opponent. Think about that. There isn't a kid on that roster, assuming the transfer in guys, right? So somebody may have transferred in Burks or somebody like that, may have transferred in from another team, Mateer. Who knows if they beat, who knows if, I don't know, Arizona State was ranked 24 3 years ago in the Pac 12, but he wasn't playing. Um, big deal. And I talk about it all the time, the identity, the makeup of your team. I think there's something to be said about um, them developing their own identity last night, them creating their own narrative, right? Like this is our journey, right? They know what the OU means. They know about our teams and the Bradford teams and the Baker Mayfield teams and the Kyler Murray teams and the Link ran teams. Kind of BV's known as a DC at OU and at Clemson, but BV as a head coach kind of got a little bit of that. You know what I'm saying? This is our swag, and I really hope they build on that. I truly believe it's an opportunity for them to compound this win, and I say it because we so definitively flipped the switch. It's the 3rd and 16. Chris Fowler was like, "Oh, OU has to punt," not realizing because of the holding penalty, we're still a down ahead. And so it's 3rd and 16, not 4th and 16. And then he says, right before the snap of the ball, he says, "Oh, well, they'll probably have to punt anyway." And then Mateer makes that scramble and he gets 19 yards. That play flipped the switch. I think on that play, Mateer said to himself, "I still got it." I think Mateer remembered who he was in the true sense of who he perceives himself to be. And I think once he built his belief, the offense started to say, "Okay, we got this. We can make this thing work." And obviously, Mackie, you're Hopi, Mackie, you're I don't know, crimson colored glasses. Maybe I am today because I haven't seen us play like that in a road game again in almost half a decade. And I haven't seen us run the ball when we needed to since the year we had 10 wins 3 years ago, right? It's far few and in between where we have consistently been able to impose our will on teams. And we're going to talk about Tennessee, 124th ranked pass defense, and we didn't really challenge them deep ever. Um, Obviously, we're talking about a team that has tremendously dropped off in terms of talent and production on the defensive side this year versus last year. I think it's also really important to say we're talking about an offense that is probably uh, one of the best in America. In the same way, Ole Miss and Chambliss has the ability to put pressure on you with his arms and his legs. Guys, I don't know if you guys saw, but he scored another 20-yard touchdown, essentially playing running back, some kind of QB sweep. They run QB sweep, and he hits the sideline like a running back would. Um, Tennessee schemes you up. Sucks to say it, right? Because I hate our scheme. I hate it. I don't think they're going to invite me on campus anytime soon because I think I've been so assertive around saying, what the hell is it? It's hella oversimplified. It's ridiculously predictable. And it's not just Mackey's feelings. It is played out because every defense we go against all of a sudden looks amazing against us. And the defense we know we have, which is amazing, has a challenge every week. Guys, that piece of the pie is schematics. 100%. I think if our defense went against our offense, they may never score unless Arbuckle decided to throw some fade outs against our corners and they threw pass interference. We know we're good for 2 of those a game, right? Anyway, let's dive into it, guys. 10 Thoughts is generally a conversation I have after the game where I'm telling you what I'm thinking about. I'll go over every position group. I'm going to be short and sweet in some of these just because I think it's appropriate to capture or caption some of those in that way. If you're an OU Insider, I dropped my 10 thoughts there. I do a written version only on OU Insider, but I don't do it every week. I do this every week for sure. And so, yeah. There's a good dialogue and discussion going on over there in the comment section there. But let's dive into it. I'm going to start with the quarterback. Yesterday, if you guys listened to our post-game pod, I was extremely happy, but I think it's worth stating some of my frustrations and critiques of Mateer, but I am going to judge him with 2 separate thresholds. Threshold number 1 is the first play of the game through the first second possession of the third quarter, and then the second threshold is when he got the 3rd and 16 when he picked up 19 through the rest of the game. All right, for 2.5 quarters he was trash. If BV, Arbuckle, and Mateer were right here in front of me, and Nagy and Castiglione, and they said, Mackey, I would say, Coach, that's trash. It's unacceptable. He played scared. He played timid. And to see how much better he played when his mindset improved lets you know how much of a detriment your mindset can be to your ability to perform. And I think as adults, we all understand when we're not in a good mood or we feel pretty bad about ourselves or whatever, victim, demonized, whatever you want to call it, we understand the impact it has on us in terms of our productivity at work, with our families, our relationships, whatever the case may be. Trash. Like, I think that's all we need to say to capture it, right? He was literally, and kudos to Kirk for noticing it. Again, I said this last night on our post game, but like Barry noticed that he was jumping in the air with both feet off the ground, throwing the ball, Michigan. And he said it on the pod. He said, Mackey, did you see that? He said, like, there are plays where Mateer, both feet are off the ground. And I don't know any offensive guru, quarterback guru, somebody who's helping with technique who suggests that. It's got to fix it. I think it's also interesting that we didn't see much of that in the second half when all of a sudden he's a little more dialed in. So maybe that is some type of nervous thing he has, because Kirk brought it up, and then they obviously brought it up on the telecast twice. Not gonna beat him up because he brought the goods when we needed it. But that first 2.5 quarters was as bad as anything Jackson Arnold did last year, aside from the turnovers. I will say salute to him for not giving the ball to the other team, because we know Jackson may have done so had he been in that same position. Now, the last 1.5, solid, strong. I think his ability to see that he could run the football. I believe he questioned his athleticism against the SEC. I questioned his athleticism against the SEC. I said last week, like, defensive fronts in the SEC do not fear him. I think the tape he put out last night let teams know, oh, okay, he can still do a little something, something. He's not going to beat anybody in a race. He's not going to beat an outside linebacker to the corner, but he absolutely can get up in the mix and go get some positive yards for us as needed. So salute to him for that. If I was to give him an overall grade, it's interesting because I'm inclined to give him an 80 simply because of how well he played when it mattered and some of those third downs. Even the third down we pick up after we have the lead up 9 and they run the slant return that he misses last week and he throws to Gibson instead of just taking the easy read. I'm inclined to give him an 80. And then we ran that damn slant to the boundary. What in heaven's name are we doing? Does anybody know? What are we doing? We're throwing a slant. Okay, let's just say pre-snap. We don't want to keep the clock running because that's the only opponent we're playing now. We're not even playing Tennessee anymore. We're playing the clock. So let's just say we're not playing the clock. And I get it. I think Jermichael Carter's the kid, 84, who's in. Gibson's out. He ran a slant early in the game, caught it, admitted it, and does a good job. Again, the game's in the balance, and it's like the middle of the third or maybe the early fourth when that happens. But let's also just assume that pre-snap, the read looks good. It looks open. It looks like an easy pitch and catch. After the snap of the ball, he's getting jammed. And we bird dog it. Like, we look there, we only look there, and we're like, he's like, don't throw it. I'm like, don't throw it, don't throw it, don't throw it. He's not going to throw it. He threw it. He's getting jammed the entire time. And then, in the back of my mind, it's like, it'll be just our luck that it gets popped into the air. And of course, it like sticks to his hip. The D lineman sees it or whoever the guy is, grabs it out of the air to turn over. That's malpractice in coaching. If we lose that game, Ben Arbuckle needs to be fired. That's how bad a call that is. If we lose that game, Ben Arbuckle needs to be fired, and Coach BV would have serious questions to answer. The game is essentially won. They either are going to burn all their timeouts and we need to get one more first down, and they have not stopped the run. What are we doing? Right? Or we run the ball. It's third down. We have an option to pass or throw. The clock has either gone to the 2-minute warning or they've exhausted their timeouts. And we have the third down to pick. And if we don't, we punt the ball up 9, having wasted either 2 to 3 more minutes of time or all of their timeouts, and they're still 2 possessions away from winning. And I believe we're in semi-field goal range. If we're not in field goal range, we're on the fringe. The only thing we can't do, even a sack isn't terrible because the clock runs. Guys, that play, the game is in question because of that play. RSJ has to make a phenomenal onside kick. Did you see the way he caught the ball on that onside kick? And then I don't even know who caught the second one. And then our DBs we give up 150 yards of more stats because we're playing not to give up the big play, and they're throwing it underneath, and then they run the bang aid slant, and they run a double post is really the concept. I'm going to cue that play up. I want to show you guys how schemes can cue guys wide open. I'm going to show you how Hype did it in a losing effort, but it's how they score their last TD. They run a double post concept. They run the tight end through the backside seam, holds the play side safety or the backside safety with the tight end, and then the play side safety has a read to make. Do I take the first post or the second post? I wish he would just sink onto the second post. It's a pick, or it's a contested play. And they had run it earlier in the game, and it was open. I wished Peyton would have read that and saying, oh, they're running it again, and just sunk to get to the second post and made the quarterback throw kind of like an over route, right? There's a lot of people in that area that would have been a better chance for us to do something about it, but we don't. And what happens? Eli Bowen is there, but he's not there. Eli Bowen is there, but he's not there. Eli Bowen's a nickel in the SEC. Eli Bowen's going to get picked on every single week, just like I said he would. He's not long enough to compete with pinpoint passing quarterbacks who know what they're doing. And that's no shade. That's no shade. He's a great football player. I think he's a great football player. He's just biologically challenged in a conference where you've got the best athletes in America and you're playing a premium position where the teams can turn the game to 1v1. And so, beautiful throw by the quarterback, great catch by Matthews or Staley, whichever one of those guys catches it. But all of that happens because we throw the ball on first down. Somebody said it was second down. Bull crap, it's first down. We just picked up the slant return by Satania to extend the drive. There's 4 minutes left. The clock is running, and they're screwed, right? Everybody could sense it. That everyone's like, "Oh crap! One more first down, the game's pretty much over." And on first down, we throw a boundary slant into tight man coverage, and it's not open, and we still throw the ball. So he can't get an 80. Materia gets a 74. Closer to failure than it is winning. And obviously he picks up his game in the third quarter, and he picks up his game in the fourth quarter, and he throws some strikes in the quick game, to Satania and to Burks, right? There's some good stuff going on. We ran the jet sweep. They called it a sprint option. That ain't sprint option. They ran jet action. He shows the ball, and then he cuts right up underneath the kick out of ELP. That's inside dive. You could call it power, QB power, because we pull the guard, but that's definitely not sprint option. But he's good. He's physical. He's in there, right? Good stuff. The other thing I want to allude to is I just think we need to speak to it. There are times where he has an opportunity to get 7 yards on a scramble, and he sticks his foot in the ground and makes somebody miss, and he gets tackled. Like, bro, just keep going. Get the 7 yards, get low, dive forward, right? These yards matter in our offense. And just a small critique. I think he's back. I was super excited to hear that he was going to play Texas. He obviously didn't play well. We felt like against Ole Miss he would be more like himself. Maybe it just took him 10 quarters to knock the dust off. And now 2 full games and a half later, Mateer is going to be the guy we all expected him to be at the beginning of the year, the rest of the year. So here's to hoping that happens. DMac, I want to know who is working with QB1 and his passing fundamentals. I mean, he's got his Arbuckle brought his QB guru, who he has a close-knit relationship with. Arbuckle was his coach at Wazoo. Those dots connect to be ownership and accountability to Ben Arbuckle. And yeah, he's the only quarterback in America who does that kind of technique. But it's kind of weird, right? Because I don't remember Hawkins being as fundamentally unsound at the end of last year in his quarterbacking technique. And then this year, he's doing this whole super sidearm kind of weird throwing mechanics too. If you guys go back and watch the games, watch Navy last year, which is pretty much the best of Hawkins sans the Tennessee game last year when he plays pretty good coming off the bench. But Navy, he looks like a guy who this year would have really been, hey, if we had to run with him, he's got a lot of attributes that could help us. And then you watch Kent State and you're like, why is he doing this super sidearm? Why? He kind of has this whole I'm jumping and throwing at the same time kind of thing. So I don't know if that's coached. And again, somebody go correct me if I'm wrong. Go back and watch that film. It's pretty awkward. It looks awkward or weird to say the least. Give me 74, but also sign me up for I'm up on Mateer based upon the last 2 quarters versus the first 2 quarters. Receivers, adequate, serviceable. I have sympathy for them. I guess I have empathy too, but I have sympathy simply because I remember what it was like playing for Hype. And then the next year, the offense and it's not Nate Hibble's fault per se, but I just remember how dynamic we are with Hype because Hype could anticipate and put stuff where it needed to be. And then how all of a sudden the receiver core is trash. Well, not trash, but I think we went from a really fun unit to watch to just an adequate unit. And it's because the quarterback has to be willing to make the throws or get you into the right place. And so I don't think the scheme helps us at all. Just the way Arbuckle queues up plays, we just never have receivers running open. Think about how many times Hype queued up a play where Tennessee, I told you guys, there's going to be a receiver 20 yards down the field, either running away from somebody to the post or away from somebody to the corner. And if one guy misses, he's to the house. Like that's what their offense is designed to do. And it did it. And their receivers were right? The main man in the game. Those guys came to play and they played well, and whatever the case may be, our receivers just don't get those plays. Our scheme, our game plan doesn't cue those up. The one caveat would be Satania running the chair out. And a chair route is essentially an out and up. You run a bunch of speed outs. The outside guy runs the fade to clear the corner or carry the corner, and the safety can't get there because he's inside out. And then you run the out and up. Old school terminology for that is a chair route, right? That's a great play, but it's just a tag. It's a tag. It's not like we had some game plan that we queued up and then we were getting them and watching them. He tagged a chair, which is good. I'm not going to take away from it, but like, is that it? Right? Like the same side, jet sweep, QB power, and the chair route. Like that's the, you know what I mean? Those are the plays we have to look forward to that we're going to be killing it. That's problematic. Receivers are adequate. It was interesting to see Jermichael Carter, I believe is his name, play a lot in the second half. I don't know if Gibson got hurt. I haven't really checked to see what happened there. But kid caught the ball, was physical with the ball. I don't blame him for the slant. I mean, he gets jammed, but it's a boundary throw, and I think Arbuckle called it on purpose. You know what I'm saying? Because the ball's going there, and I think that's more on coach than it is on the kid. Kid's got to win. It would have been great if he could, I don't know, juke the guy at the line of scrimmage, do whatever is necessary to win. But that was just weird. Our receivers are average. I would even say our receivers are below average for the conference. People bring up Canic. Guys, I'm going to talk about the scheme at the end. I guess I'll bring it up now. If you taped the game, if you have a chance, go back and watch it from the lens of what their defense is doing. By the second half, there's nobody on, I'd say 80% of the plays, there's nobody on their defense deeper than 10 yards. And there are several plays where everyone on their defense is within 8 yards of the line of scrimmage. So if there's 4 down linemen, and sometimes they went with a 30, sometimes they're in 3 down, sometimes they're in 4 down. But imagine you're on offense and we don't throw the ball deep. So it's not like we are saying, hey, if y'all don't back up, we're going to throw a bomb. We're going to bomb your ass, right? We haven't tried to. The one he throws to Burks is 5 yards out of bounds. I wish he gives Burks an opportunity right before the half, if you guys are wondering the play I'm speaking to. But guys, can't get the ball if there's 7 dudes who can see post snap and they're all 8 yards within the line of scrimmage. Like they're suffocating quick game. And the reason teams are doing that because the only thing we do is quick game. Mackie, how do you pivot? You line up in tight. You line up in a power coverage. You have one receiver. Michigan, all the Big Ten schools do this. All the SEC schools used to do this 12 years ago before they started going more like a Big 12 style offense. Is you line up in eye tight or offset eye tight, or you just line up in pro. One receiver on this side, one receiver on that side, and you run some basic action. One guy is running an in cut, the other guy is running a post. You high-low the safety. That's how you do it. And you just tell your receiver, run away from the corner. Beat him with speed, beat him with size, beat him with power. And, right, you make the defense say, yo, dude, pre-snap, we got to back up because safeties don't have angles to get to those routes. If the safeties are at 8 and your receivers are at proper depth, spacing-wise, outside the tackles, there's no angle for them to get into the play. They're effectively out of the play. You're playing one-on-one. It's like 70% of the plays, there's no one. On third downs, second downs, there's no one past 10 yards. No one. There are several plays where everyone's at 8. So I saw someone say, hey, well, they're not looking for Canic. There's nowhere for Canic to go. You know there's somebody looking him up. And then there's a safety who says, okay, I got to stay on top of him. We aren't making them back up. So they're squeezing us. Do we quit game because quarterback was extremely inaccurate throwing? I think that's part of the problem. His inaccuracies. Second, I think it's his confidence. We've seen him be ultra accurate. So I don't think it's an issue of his lack of accuracy. I think he lacked confidence to complete the throws. Hopefully this bye week and a healing and no game. And I don't think we're in the top 12. I think we're 13, 14, which is fine because all we got to do is beat Bama and we're where we need to be. So I don't care if Tuesday they say we're the 14 seed or whatever the seed we are. It doesn't matter to me. I know enough teams lost that maybe we get it with an away win. So maybe we are top 12. But I think it's his lack of confidence that's holding him back. I also think that it's a lack of imagination in the game plan. Um, I gave myself kudos 3 weeks ago because I literally said on this pod, I think it was the pregame or the postgame, I literally said, guys, we don't even run Fox. And Fox is pump and go. Fox is you run the pump on the screen, you make it look like you're running screen to your two side, your twins or your trips, whatever. And then one of the guys runs up the field to take the safety, and then the other guy trails. That's how Satania scores against Ole Miss, I believe. I think it's Ole Miss. But I literally said, guys, we don't even run it. And then we ran it the next week, and like 3 people were like, Mackie, he listens to the pod. Guys, like it took us 4 weeks to cue that up. Did you guys notice in the same game, Ole Miss ran it, but then threw it to the backside tight end running up the seam? Like, in other words, they've run the play we considered our like change up trick exotic. They ran like 3 renditions deeper of it, and they ran it twice in the game because it's not a trick play for them. It's just a part of their identity. We ran it as a trick play. We scored a touchdown. It looked great. Yay! And everybody's like, oh my God, Mackie, they ran Fox. They just run it. It's just one of their plays. Like that's the level of ability for guys to get queued up or dialed up for chunk plays. Like if I were in their meeting room and coach was like, Mackie, what do you think? I say, hey coach, what are our chunk plays? Right? There are plays you run in practice that are designed to be chunk plays. And we're playing Tennessee, 124th ranked pass defense in America, young corners, all their dudes are hurt. So young guys are playing, right? True freshmen, redshirt freshmen are playing who've been getting sizzled every Saturday. And you're like, what are our chunk plays going to be this week? Because we've got our dudes. Burks is supposed to be a guy, big in IO package. Satania comes in. He's been our alpha this year. Salute to him. And everyone's told me Giovanni Gibson is some amazing practice dude who's killing us in spring and da-da-da-da. What are chunk plays? Oh, don't do that to me, Oklahoma, or die. See, now you're going to get me on my soapbox. Stop it. That would just make too much sense. I guarantee you BV knows Leach's playbook. He just asked DMacks, should we consider any flood and or mesh schemes? Like, that just makes too much sense. We do run a mesh, but it's not the mesh we've run for the last 24 years. It's not that style of mesh. It's a little different. Just a mesh concept of 2 under routes who rub each other, right, as they cross, and hopefully against man coverage, you create a pick, and then against zone, you sit in the window. It's not the same concepts, and it's not the same reads. Leach's mesh concepts always create a triangle read. So whether quarterback's looking left or right, he has a horizontal throw, a hole throw, or a deep throw. It's called creating a triangle. Again, I'm going to chalk it this week. I don't see those same principles in our mesh concept, and we don't run it enough. We'd run mesh 5 times a game because you can run it with the wheel, you can run it with the post, you can run it with a PCP, you can run it with the stop. You could just like mesh was an identity in itself. It was just one of the principles of how we would run offense if teams played zone or if they played man, right? Zone beater, man beater. Someone says combination routes. Again, it's that Bishop, right? Yeah, Bishop is interesting, right? Because you guys saw Hype do it all night. Hype ran the double post all night. It's a combo route. It's an easy read. You read the safety. Whichever one the safety picks, throw the other. Like that's how simple it is. The line has to give you enough time for it to get down the field. Okay. But that's why they run it off. That's why they call it a bang 8, because it's RPO action, which, by the way, as I get to the defense, it's also why we get a pick 6 or a scoop and score. They're running the bang 8 backside post when Heineke comes as an outside dog off the edge, hits Aguilar, and RMT picks it up. They're running the play. All right. So, right, pick your poison, because obviously that play probably is at least a 10-point swing, if not a 14-point swing. They're going in to score, and they've got all the momentum. He's dotting the I after that phantom PI call where the tight end runs right into Guillory, and they call a PI on us. That's terrible. But salute for the defense making a play. Yeah. It's interesting. There's one play where Mateer gets sacked, and they show the behind the quarterback view, and we're running an option route. We're running a dig, a post, or kind of like a post, and then something else across the formation. It's still one time you can see, but they're playing man. And so those routes are hard to be open against man because they're just trailing you. So as a quarterback, you just see your guy running and a guy running right behind him. It's really hard if you don't create an angle to see openings, and I think we get sacked on the play. But I'm gonna do the chalkboard here. It'll be here on the B&M YouTube. Yeah. So I'll give you guys insight on that. Anyway, receivers, adequate, 74. No huge drops that I can remember. I don't even blame Jermichael Carter for the interception. I just think it's terrible, absolutely terrible. Running backs. So there's some really good, and then there's something that just irks my soul. I really enjoyed seeing a running back get through trash. And I'm gonna go O-line next. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, my O-line gets over an 80. I don't care. The I hate beating both community, the everything sucks for the offensive line community. I don't care what you guys have to say. There were a couple games last year I said the same. The offensive line is not nearly as bad as they have been made to look, because if you expect running backs to have perfect holes in order for them to be successful, you need a new running back. And this is the second week in a row that our running back has shown that there are times when the running back's responsibility is to make something out of nothing, or make somebody miss, or get out of a tackle, or run to daylight. And X-Rob consistently does all that. There's also a caveat of EPO's playing left guard, and every time he pulls, he's knocking somebody's head off. That there's also that. Go back and watch. In fact, Barry has started posting on Twitter already just the difference of EPO playing left guard. If you haven't watched, I think Barry he may have done it on the Barry and Mac YouTube, or I don't know if he's done it under his personal one, but look it up. He's already identified plays where earlier in the year we're trying to run some type of power concept where we're running across the formation with the guard, pulling a guard, and they're tripping, they're falling, they're whatever, right? They don't get there. I don't know. Versus EPL, go watch how beautiful it looks. It looks beautiful. It looks beautiful. And it not only does it look beautiful, he's moving people. Not only is he moving people, he's moving. Holy crap, he's moving fast. If you guys go back and watch his high school film, he ran track. And not only he wasn't like a discus guy or a shot put guy, he was running the 100. You can really see it. So yeah, I think that makes a difference. But guys, X-Rob has a fumble. If you guys watch, it's punched out. He's got the ball high and tight. It's not like he's got it, he doesn't have it out like a loaf of bread. It's a great play by the defense. I don't fault him. He has a bad fit on a backer inside dog, where the backer's coming in the B gap and he's got to fill that gap. It looks to me like he's trying to read the other backer first, sees it late, and then kind of tries to throw a chicken wing. Just bad, right? He's going to get a minus for that. I even think we get a sack. I think he sacks material on the play, but he looks like a kid who in the SEC you can win with. He looks like a kid who has a true sophomore. I think he's a sophomore. I don't know if he got his red shirt or anything last month or last year. I'm not for certain how that all shook out, but he looks like a guy who in a year or two could be an NFL guy. To be a bigger, girthier guy, he's fast. If he gets going, he's fast enough. He's obviously quick enough, and his vision runs in the daylight. He kind of reminds me of Kennedy Brooks. He reminds me of Kennedy Brooks, right? Like, it's not like he runs 7 people over. He kind of just, his hips are where they aren't, and you don't get a clean shot on him, right? And his eyes take him to the natural crease, and then he hits it. And man, it feels good to have that, right? Here's my issue. For, I don't know, 6 weeks, Blaylock is kind of bona fide the best running back, right? A lot of us say, hey, he's our home run threat, true freshman, making it happen. You can't tell me there isn't a package. Even if there isn't a package, every third possession he gets to play. Like, did he play so terribly that he doesn't get the ball? It kind of further confirms for me that, like, there isn't a real plan to real development. Because I watched football all day. There wasn't another team where one back played 95% of the snaps. I think Blaylock got 3 or 4 snaps. He got 0 carries. And it was very clear that there was no plan to give him the ball. And just with all due respect, like, just keeping it 100 with you guys, if that were me, I'd be a little upset. There's only one dude who's going to get to carry the ball at running back, but then we have all these arbitrary substitutions on defense. I'm just telling you, like if it were me, that logically wouldn't make sense. Wait a minute. So, you know what I'm saying? We're subbing out our dude linebackers all season. And we got this thing called 22 starters. You know what I'm saying? But at running back, I am adequate. Good. I've been the best dude. So coach has told me by playing me almost exclusively for some games. And now because I'm not him this week, I don't get any carries. I thought it was bad when Rob wasn't getting carries. I also think it's bad now where Blaylock is just like the forgotten man. You know, in the same way we say, BV has 22 starters because he wants to keep everybody hungry. He wants to keep competitive competition. He wants to be able to recruit and say, you'll get to play. Shouldn't that fall in line with running back? Like, I get line, right? You probably shouldn't just rotate guys in that offensive line, especially after week 2. You're 2 preseason opponents, and you're kind of saying, hey, I don't have bona fide starters yet, so I'm giving you guys competition. I could live with that. But you don't have 2 running backs that you can trust. Which other team didn't have other running backs? Tennessee played 2 or 3, and they got to carry the ball. I watched Texas play 2 or 3. Georgia played 2 or 3 last week when they when they played against Florida yesterday. Florida played 2 or 3, but one's really good and the other one looks like Barnes. He runs into his guys if he doesn't have a defined hole. I think that's an issue. I have an issue with that, guys. I do. I think it's important that you give 2 people an opportunity because boom, X-Rob goes down. Now what? You expect, oh, come on, Blaylock, you're going to win us the game. Like, bro, you didn't think I was going to win us the game when you had X-Rob. And I don't know if that sounds selfish, but I'm just telling you from a psychological standpoint, right? That hurts the team. Somebody said he had 1 carry for 0 yards. Yeah, dude. 1 carry? 1 time? I don't know. Maybe I'm nitpicking. You guys can agree or disagree. I don't think that's healthy. I think it's healthy for you to have 2 guys who you can go with to find success. 85, 86. I don't even fault the fumble as much. I mean, obviously those lose you games, and he's the game that they're playing today. Guys do that, so you got to prep for it. But man, he played well. He did. I wish he scores the touchdown. We can go back and forth on what ifs. I will say there's a coaching issue in that result either way. We're up 5. No, we're up. What are we up? 3? Because if we score, we can go up 9. Yeah, so we're up 3. If he scores then and there, we're up 2 possessions with an extra point, which means a lot of things have to happen. They've got to burn first downs. We essentially take away a possession of the game, right? And we're kicking off to them. They've got to go 75, score, onside kick, right? And then try to score again. But he takes a knee. Go back and watch it. There's a little bit of scuttlebutt about what happens. Tennessee, at the time he takes a knee, has 2 timeouts. Josh calls a timeout. They have 1 left. It's 1st and goal from the 1-inch yard line. If we take 2 knees, we kneel twice. First knee, they take a second timeout. So there's 1 minute and 45 seconds left. Second knee, right? 40-second play clock. So we hike the ball, it takes a second, he knees. That's 40 more seconds. That means there's 1 minute left in the game. It's only 3rd down. 3rd knee, we hike the ball, take a knee. There's 19 seconds left in the game. We kick the field goal. We're up 6. Or we score, whatever, right? We might kick the field goal or we might try to score on that particular play. It doesn't really matter at that point. There's 19 seconds. They have no timeouts. And if they stop us, they're on the 1. And if we score, now they're in the same exact scenario with 19 seconds. The worst thing you can do, is fall down at the 1, Josh calls timeout, and then score the next play. Make them waste their timeouts before you score in that instance. It's why we had to go through another 1.5 minutes of, the drama. And people are like, you should just be happy we won. Facts, but game management matters. Guys, go back and watch it. There's Josh calls his second timeout at the 1-inch yard line. All we do is take a knee, 2nd down, and he has to waste his 3rd timeout. And then we take another knee, and there's 1 minute left in the game. If we choose to take another knee, we can kick the field goal, and it's 19 seconds left. If we choose to score, we score with like 40 seconds left, and now we score 40 seconds or less, and they still got to score twice. I wish XRI would have just took the TD. Maybe it was good for Mateer to get it, but I digress, right? Maybe that's me just being too analytical, but I just feel like in games that matter, you need to be tight on those type of scenarios and make sure you're setting your team up for the best situation. Because the fact is, they ended up getting the ball back, going right down the field, scoring, and having a phenomenal onside kick set up where RSJ has to make a phenomenal play. We could have lost that game. Something to think about. Line. If you ask me how our line has performed the last 6 quarters against 2 really good teams, I get it. They're not defensive juggernauts like a Texas, but those are NFL dudes. Ole Miss has NFL D linemen, and Tennessee has an NFL guy too. With Foje as a true freshman at your right tackle, with ELP as your left guard, we are substantially better. Period. I don't think there's any question. Go back and watch some of the plays that we spring. It's right behind the pulling action of EPL. The other thing that I think is extremely important is Foje. You don't hear his name 7-8 times. That means he's kicking his guy's butt or he's winning his matchup. I think it's safe to say right now, he's as good as Derek Simmons. And I think it's safe to say right now, having Simmons as quality depth as a tackle is a really, really, really promising sign for us going into the last third of the season. I don't think there's any question of Ozita versus EPL. I don't think there's any question. And I think it is extremely beneficial to have, in the instance there's an injury at guard, you've got Ozita, who has over a year's worth of reps, right, at his disposal as a guy who can come in. Guys, that's quality depth. I gave the O-line an 84. The O-line got an 84 for me. And I stand firm on that. Even on the interceptions, on the sacks, Mateer is retreating instead of stepping up in the pocket. If Mateer simply steps up in the pocket, he has more time and has the ability to either leak left. Quarterbacks are supposed to step up and then leak. They're not supposed to leak out the back because the tackles are inviting the guys outside, right? So in theory, your center guard should hold the line. Your tackles should kick step and push the DNs past you, and that creates the pocket. So quarterbacks step up, then leak. He retreats right most of the time. And he retreats right into the face of pressure and trouble. So the same O-line, half of OU Insider wants Beatonbow fired tomorrow. I don't have that same feeling. The tight end position was inconsequential. People brought up Helms blocking on the edge, and I don't disagree with that. I think it's helpful. You know what I'm saying? I definitely can see how people would say we need to make sure we make mention of that. But there's no threats. I think the biggest issue is scheme. We don't have any space for the tight ends because everybody's sucked into that 15-yard window. There's 11 guys in that 15-yard window, and our tight ends don't have space. So tight ends, I think I just gave them a score of good enough to win. By the way, on OU Insider, I gave Mateer a score of good enough to win, meaning I didn't want to give him a bad score because we won the game, and he did his part to help us win. Specials are special. We have the best kicker in America. As far as I'm concerned, he should be in the Heisman contention. 3 50-yard field goals, away game, at night, money, all 3. By the way, I think he had 2 50-yarders like a week or 2 before, too. Dude has like 5 50-yard field goals. Like, that's crazy. And I think he's like, I think he missed his first kick, and he hasn't missed one since. Either he made one, missed one, and then hasn't missed. But, like, he's making game-winning, game-changing, right? Like, dude is ridiculous. Sandell, and how about his swag, his little short shorts, right? Is it 18 straight, 17 or 18 straight? Because he made 3 or 4 yesterday. I think he made 4 yesterday. Is that right? He made 3 50-yarders and then maybe a shorter one. I think that's probably what he did. Specials are special. Since we're talking specials, I have a big issue with. Did you guys notice we score a touchdown? Mateer scores too early. We kick the ball off, and they get the ball at the 40. The reason they get the ball at the 40 is because on the kickoff return, where we're kicking it off, they get a face mask penalty. Guys, they never returned one kick all night. Even kicks that were in the field of play that they could have returned, they fair caught. And what heavenly way does our guy choose to, on that last kickoff, face mask somebody? They haven't returned one. That's coaching. That's preparation. That's mental prep. When you're on that pre-huddle on the sideline, I was on kickoff team. Every year I played at OU. I loved kickoff. It was fun. And, kickoff leads to defense. So I could do kickoff and go sit on the bench, right? It was cool. But you're sitting in that huddle. Hey, guys, no stupid plays, no personal fouls. Guys, we face mask them. It's not even something people talk about because we won. But if we lost that game and they're starting at the 40 instead of starting at the 25, and we're playing blanket coverage. We're very often soft. So they keep throwing a running back option route right underneath us. And he's getting 10, 9, 11 yards. But they should be 15 yards deeper. That to me, that's something noteworthy of discussing. And then our punter drops the punt. Thank God they're not trying to punt block us. That would be a bad one too. Specials are special though. Mad love and props for that. Defense. You guys ready? Our alpha gets hurt. Defensive line still dominates. I said in the pregame, they want to run the ball. You guys heard the telecast all night. The reason Tennessee was having struggle issues is because they couldn't run the ball. Our defensive front got held 5 times. They didn't call it. Our corner gets bulldozed by their tight end. They call PI. Our corner kind of puts an arm on the shoulder of the receiver, looks back, hand is in the receiver's hand as the ball is coming, and they call PI. But our D tackles have beat their O linemen, and they're grabbing them. The jersey is pulling from behind, and no penalty. They didn't get one holding call. Is what it is. The D line should have had 2 or 3 more sacks. And it's not because of what they didn't do. It's because they didn't get help from the referees. But the refs helped them plenty, right? I thought going to the SEC would help us. Clearly hasn't. But we found a way to win. I love it. I want to read somebody's talking about Barnes and X-Rob. That's like comparing apples and doorknobs. So I'm going to leave you guys alone with that one. D-line was a 93. RMT scores a pick 6, which gives them credit, goes down, and then Taylor Wine is killing. I got to give flowers to PJ and Okoye. PJ makes 2 really big plays. PJ makes a big time play on 3rd and short. They're trying to run QB counter. He catches it backside. He has a run through, and then he has really good sense. It's a stunt for running though. He steps inside and then he steps right back outside once he gets past his guy, and he makes a phenomenal play in the backfield. And then Okoye just makes an NFL type play. He's doing some type of inside slant. He doesn't have contain, and he gets skinny to get through the gap, B gap, and then he just gets hella big and grabs the quarterback with 1 mitt to get the sack. Beautiful. I'm watching my Niners. We're up 10 with 5 minutes left in the game. We score a touchdown here. This game's over. 3rd and goal. See how we do. D-line's a 93. Backers, I said in the post-game pod. Oh, no, I didn't. I'll say it today. I said it on my 10 thoughts on OUI. I like Kip and Owen Heineke more than I like Kip and Kobe. And I really like Kip and Kobe. I like Kip and Heineke better. Heineke has 2 really big misses, but Heineke, it's just the games. He makes big time plays, dude. That pick 6, or the scoop and score, I keep calling it pick 6. That scoop and score, big time play. He has another blitz where he's blitzing the A or B gap. I don't remember what's big time plays. He has a couple of other plays where he has to meet the running back in the hole, and he's just killing stuff. I gave Heineke my Gorilla Nuts player of the game defensively because instinctually he just finds the ball. And I think I think next year those 3 will rotate and Sammy will be a little bit behind them. Really, Sammy's behind them now. Sammy is not good in space. Sammy still makes boneheaded plays. Sammy misses tackles. He's a very, very, very good quality depth backer. I'm not trying to act like he's he's sucks, but he's not on the level of Kip or Heineke. And the things McKenzie is good at, his ability to stay flush with the line of scrimmage when teams are trying to push in the A gaps, because he's a thicker guy, he can stone stuff. McKenzie brings something that the other backers can't. Sammy's kind of an athlete playing backer, is what he is. Now, he's going to continue to develop, and he may get better in the offseason. Hopefully, you develop another 49ers win. Hopefully, you develop another puppy who can come in and be competition for him, because he just hasn't shown to consistently be great. You know when he's great? When he's schemed into something. His sacks and things of that nature are because BV calls a blitz and he comes free. Can't hate it, but it's not like he's making a difference. Braden Willis isn't doing much of anything. No, Samio is light years ahead of where Kanik was at backer. I don't want to create that misconception. I'm just comparing him to, like, guys, Heineke, Kip are elite backers. I don't know that they're Anthony Hill. I think Kip just lacks the body size to just impose himself like Anthony Hill can, the kid from Texas. That dude, he's the best backer in the conference, for sure. Georgia has a really good backer too. But Kip, instincts, quickness, IQ, he's right there. Kip's not first day, because first day is the first round, but Kip's a second day draft pick if he tests well and he puts another year on top of this year together. Baller, right? Heineke's a guy who, like I said, I had a buddy who coached last year, he got coaching this year, and he flat out told me, like, hey, Mackie, Corey Heineke has a family member who's a dude. And sure enough, this year Heineke is balling. 4.5 240. Yeah, crazy, right? Heineke's an athlete. Sammy's just a little bit below them. I gave the backers and I gotta add Kendall into that group. I've been saying it for the last 3 weeks. Kendall is playing cheetah to make him seem versatile for the NFL. Kendall's a backer all day and twice on Sundays when he gets to the league. I'm gonna pretend that person didn't just put Dodger blue. I am a diehard Giants fan, and I was so pissed off when those damn Dodgers found a way to come. I mean, that's championship DNA, though, guys. Those guys got that championship DNA. They found a way to win the game, but I hate them. I hate them like I hate Texas. Oh, I hate the Dodgers with a passion, truly. Backers in 91. Samuel has a bad penalty and 2 terrible missed tackles. They run a running back option. Go watch the RB option versus Heineke and Kip, and then versus Samuel. Samuel never gets 2 yards close to him. The running back shakes him in space, and Sammy's feet are in quicksand, and he's already cut up. He never touches him. Versus Kip and Heineke either make the tackle or force him into the pursuit, and the defense is able to make a play. Heineke has 2 big misses. The play, the running back steps out by an inch. Heineke's got him. I don't know what he did. He must have stopped because he thought the whistle blew or something. Heineke has him totally wrapped up and then kind of lets him go. Yeah, I hate the Dodgers. Dodger Blue 182, whatever your name is. I hate them. Salute to them, though. Winners win. I have respect for people who find ways to win. I understand winning in life is a decision, so I respect that. But damn, they're just the Yankees of 15 years ago. They're buying these championships. Their payroll is like 10 times. I think it's like 29 times more than like the Minnesota Twins. I believe I saw a stat where like the Minnesota Twins payroll versus the Dodgers payroll is like 29 times more expensive. There's like 2 dudes on the Dodgers who's the entire payroll for the Twins. I digress. Don't put any more of that stuff because it's going to make my ADHD kick in. I'm going to look at it. So stop. Backers 91. Heineke grilling us play the game. Could have been Kip. Kip had a cleaner game. Kip has 2 bone-shaking hits on the quarterback. One of them's a pick, and then one of them's the PI, which is BS. But anyway, backers played well. I'm going to give the safeties a little separate shine simply because both of those guys got a pick. I think that's a big thing for them. I think the same thing Mateer's dealing with on offense is the same thing RSJ and Peyton are dealing with on defense. There's just a funk in the game where you question yourself and your ability. I don't care what nobody says. There's no way in heaven Peyton Bowen isn't asking himself if he's really a 5-star. I know that's 3 years ago, but that stuff you talk about in the locker room. Guys talk about high school all the time. Senior years, guys talk about high school stuff. I I am a big believer that both of those guys simply needed to find a successful opportunity for themselves, and it's going to help them be the better version of themselves. Maybe that's crimson colored glasses. I'll take that. But both of those, I mean, I've just seen RSJ play too well for too long to think that he's a guy who is a shell of himself all of a sudden on a really, really, really good defense. I firmly believe that. He gets beat on the bang 8 slant for the first touchdown, right? They show the ball. He doesn't even, he takes a half step, but that's all the quarterback needs. The quarterback is just reading the safety. The quarterback is showing the ball. He's not looking at the ball. He's not looking at the running back. That's why Heineke gets the scoop and score, because his only read is the safety. And when he sees that RSJ, he takes like a baby step. That's all it took. He just throws it over his head because he know that bang 8 slant's coming right behind it. Boom, touchdown. The rest of the game, he played well in space. The rest of the game, he tackled well. Obviously, the interception is I think, a confidence builder for him. Speaking to PB, Peyton Bowen, how cool was it to see him get his pick and be reminded of his return ability, right? He looked good. You know, I still don't want to see him returning punts or kicks, but he looked good after that interception. I thought there was a potential he could house it. He tried to cut back one more time and whatever. It's a good job by him. However, he did not tackle well in space. Yeah, he has a couple of plays where he's whiffing, and he's got to clean that up. Again, I think he's a 5'10", 195, maybe 5'11", 201, kind of a guy, which is not the biggest, longest guy, but he's not extremely undersized. Kid's got to play with more confidence. Safeties, it's a 79. And I know that sounds bad for 2 interceptions, but they gave us no help. I don't expect safeties to help a ton on the outcuts, on the fade routes, but the safety's got to be there on those post routes. The bang 8 touchdown, that's all RSJ. You could see Cortland was pissed at him, like, damn, blood. You could see Cortland. If you guys go watch their first touchdown, you can literally see RSJ and Cortland having a conversation where Cortland's looking at him like, bro, that's exactly the play we practiced on Thursday practice. You can see it in his eyes. I know exactly what he's thinking. And RSJ is kind of like, yeah, bro, I bet, my bad. But even on the play where Eli gets beat on the bang 8 double post concept, you can watch it. I'm going to get the play, I promise you. And they're running the double post, and it's really just an over route in a post. But the over route is designed to take play side safety to the route. And I want to say it's Kendall Daniels or someone else is underneath it. And we've got RSJ already on that side. There's no reason for Peyton to pick it up too. And when Peyton takes himself off the chessboard, it's a backside post, 1-and-1. And it's Eli Bowen and one of their 6'3" dudes, and he's right there. He's just not there. Yes, they beat us on that bang 8 post last year for 77 yards. Hell yes. What's the kid's name? Transferred out. Forgot his name. Yeah. They beat us on it last year too. Yes, they did. It's a staple of his offense. It's a part of their identity. You know what it is? It's something you have to practice all week in practice, and they use it against you. And then when you stop remembering it, they call it. It's called having a scheme. It's a good scheme. By the way, Tennessee's the only school in America with 3 receivers with over 600 yards. There's no other school with 3 receivers with 500 yards. Think about that for a second. Think it's fun to go to that school and play receiver? Yeah, I think we have 1 receiver with 500 yards to tenure in context. Corners. You know what's crazy, guys? Yes, Kenai Walker, that was his name. Good call. The corners didn't play terrible. Context. If Gullery just form tackles or throws his arms instead of just throwing his shoulder, like, we probably save 80 yards. Staley hits the sideline. By the way, it's 3rd and 10. They run an 8-yard out. Gullery tricks the quarterback into thinking it's man, and that's why he throws the out. And then he tries to bomb him. He tries to shoulder boom him. We call it a bomb, right? All he has to do is wrap in his 4th and 2. They might even punt. Hype probably doesn't, but it's definitely not a 57-yard touchdown. Those are things that a freshman corner will clean up as a sophomore if he wants to be the guy. Those are things that a DB coach will pull up on film and says, this is the difference between you playing in the NFL and you potentially being a co-starter next season. Which one do you want to be? I hope that's the conversation that Villa is having with him, because they tried to pick on him passing the ball and had no luck. The kid is a good corner. And I believe he's 6 foot, 6.5 foot. He's big enough to not be a total mismatch. And he's put enough film out against good receivers that teams aren't just going to try to pick on him. It's a good job. He just got to tackle. He has 2 times where he's trying to bomb tackle somebody versus throw his arms and wrap up. And you see on the second one, I think it's the quarterback or one of the running backs. He's trying to do, or whoever it is. You can see Kip like tap his helmet, like, "Damn, bro, just wrap up." But he's kind of doing it in a way where Kip's letting him know, "I see you, young lad. You know what I'm saying? I see you, true fresh. Like, you in the game with us. Bullets is flying and you ain't scared, but dang, bro, it could really help us if you simply do the technique you're taught to do." That's a big time. That's a big time opportunity for him. I think he's a guy who could progress. We'll see if he continues to progress. I said this 4 weeks ago. Those of you who listen to our pod every week, you guys know what I'm talking about. I said 4 weeks ago, if Eli comes back, I move him to nickel and I'd have Jacoby play corner. This is the 2nd week in a row. They ran the fade on him 1v1. I told you the teams would cue it up, and both times he's run the best tech out of any corner, including Guillory. I haven't seen people test Gentry enough. I think there's enough film on him to say he's big, strong, fast, and his experience. They haven't really tested him, and he hasn't been healthy. But I believe Jacoby should be the starting corner opposite Guillory, assuming Gentry can't play. It makes too much sense to me now to have a Foje playing right tackle, to have an EPL playing left guard, to have a Jacoby who is 6'1.5" and is a track guy and is an X-receiver, meaning he'll go pick the ball. It just makes too much sense to be setting up the depth of 6+ foot dudes who are ready to go when the bullets are flying. I don't think it's a bad thing that they're getting him quality depth, but I said it a month ago, and this is my opinion. I'm not in practice. You know what I'm saying? I hear Jacoby doesn't want to tackle, which is his biggest detriment. I also hear he's not ultra competitive. It's what I'm being told. But guys get competitive and want to tackle when they're in the game and the bullets are flying. I have a feeling he's going to come up and make a play. Oh, and then go back and watch their first screen. It's like the 3rd play of the game. It's like right after they call the PI on Guillory, the first possession, when it's a BS call, the tight end bulldozes him. They run the quick screen the next play. Eli gets housed. And again, I'm not trying to talk crap. It's just they're on TV. He's the corner. When they run that bunch screen, hike the ball, and it's immediately to the flat. They run it much better than we do. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, it's Eli. Eli's the contained corner. He's on the sideline on his back, as if it's Matthews or Staley's going down the sideline, or Brazil. I don't remember which one it is. Oh, it's Eli. He's not big enough. It's an easy block for a 6'3" receiver to just be big. It's like Josh Norman. Josh Norman could just be big and block people. In a smaller corner, he's out of there, right? We needed a little bit more girth in that spot. They picked on him. They went down the sideline for about 30 yards. Yep. Cortland got nailed. Yeah, I just don't think those are bad calls. I think those are bad calls. And I'm an offensive guy. The first PI, the tight end purposely runs into him. He has to hold him to not get ran over like it's a run play. Should he have just let the tight end run him over? They probably would have caught a penalty for that. TBH. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. There's a small tug, but we're talking SEC football, dude. I see guys getting to it, and we're talking about a 5'11". Yeah, it looked like a run block. It looked like he was trying to block Guillory. That's what it looked like. Ref did not have to call that PI. Absolutely did not have to call it. The second PI to me is just as egregious. Yes, he's on his shoulder a little bit, but he turns back, eyes up, his hands are with the other guy's hands, and he's right there. If you call that, you got to at least call the holds on their O-line. If they call those, they at least have to call the blatant holds on their offensive line. There's about 4 or 5. They called none. 0. So I'll leave that there. I like Guillory, especially as a true freshman, especially as a guy who's been picked on since Auburn and has given up nothing in the past game since. I like it. And I like a guy who's a little extra physical instead of soft. I like it. I just also happen to like Jacoby's ability to turn and run. I think that's, and he's a bigger, he's big and fast and long, and he has good hands. He'll go up and make a play. I like it. To me, I would move Eli to a safety position next year and let him compete with Hardy. And I bet you he has a niche where he starts to make some stuff happen. I bet you he would. Anyway, yeah, I think there's going to need to be changes on the coaching staff, assuming we don't go undefeated and make it into the playoffs. If we make it into the playoffs, I still think he should, yes, but I doubt he will. Couple of reasons. Number one, some of the guys that I think should be gone are ex-Sooners, and what's that word they use? Nepotism? It's real. Nepotism's real. So one of the issues is some of the guys who are not carrying their weight or we could make an improvement upon, they're alumni. The other issue is BV is a character guy, not an win at all costs guy. And I think he would err on the side of doing what's right for the man, the family, the husband, the father, versus 9 wins or get your ass, what is 8 to hit the gate, 10 to hit the I sold cars 1 year in college, 2 years in college, and there was a term that said 8 or hit the gate. If you don't sell 8 cars, you gotta go. Right. So I think that mentality is not really his mentality. I do think we should, though. Maybe that's a conversation. I'll address it directly at the end of the season. Put it on the air. I'm not tripping. Yes, new AD is going to shuffle some things up, especially if we don't make the playoffs. If we make the playoffs, everybody's in good shape, guys. It is what it is. We make the playoffs, we're in good shape. I wouldn't expect there to be a ton of changes in that scenario. We don't make the playoffs. I would assume BV will make a couple of changes in terms of trying to tweak the team and sell the community that we're trying to become a championship caliber team. That's just my take. I don't have any information or insight on that. Defensive coaching. I love the way BV mixes up things on defense. We've played some really good offenses. I think they put up 350 to 400 passing yards. If you guys go back and look, guys, they've got 17 points in the fourth quarter. People are bitching and moaning, complaining. Tennessee is the number 1 offense in the conference, not Ole Miss. Tennessee is going to move the ball. We created pressure, and the impression of pressure where the quarterback threw the ball to our guys. We nullified their run game. I think they had 63 total yards the entire game. And then we gave up probably additional 100 to 150 yards the last 2 possessions, just trying to run clock, giving them the QB or the running back delay, the QBs running up the middle a little bit, those last 2 possessions. So we skew our yardage a bit at the end. And then if Gullery just tackles, right? So from a defensive standpoint, I think I gave BV an 88 defensive coaching, really strong game against a really quality opponent. Could have been better. There's more we could do to improve. But he's continuing to show that he's got the goods. I also think it's important to understand that his defense came up with the points during the part of the game where the offense was terrible. The offense isn't holding their weight. The defense scored, right? And so that's a big deal too. Final thoughts. I have to be a fan and not a critique and say I enjoy the win. Oh, you know what? The super chat, I'll get to that as soon as I get done with this, and I'll make it short and sweet. Today is not the day to beat up the guys. They won a big time game in a big time environment and are still squarely in contention for everything that they started the year with. And I'm excited for that. I do believe the bye is going to help us clean up the O-line. I think they're going to cement that 5. If they bring Ozita or Simmons back as starters, with those 2 guys being freshmen who are potentially the future, I think you sit Ozita down and you say, hey, dude, 54 is a senior. you have an opportunity to start there next year. And then, of course, if EPO has a bad game, gets a tweak, you're going to play a ton. Like, be prepared. You're a 1 at this position and you're a 2 at this position, right? And I think he told Derek Simmons, hey, dude, you're a senior. The kids come in, we're going to give him a shot until he can't. It ain't like you can portal out. You're going to be quality depth. If either of the puppies are having a tough go, be prepared to go. You're our swing tackle. Boom. Now you've got 7 O linemen, a guard guy, a tackle guy, right? Obviously, center is still where we're lacking depth, but you've created quality depth with guys who have SEC experience. Makes too much sense. Also, RMT, we'll see. I don't think he'll play against Bama, personally. I don't think he'll play. And unless it's a light tweak and they just didn't want it to get worse, and he's going to get some deep tissue massages, and there's some things they can do in the next 2 weeks. If he doesn't have any blood, like if he has a strain where he's pulled and there's some blood leakage in there, that's got to heal. It's going to take 3 weeks minimum. And then you've got to be extra careful with it. They're probably going to have to tape it every day just to keep pressure on it so that it doesn't create a new opportunity or compression, some real tight compression shorts, things of that nature. But I think we're in a good spot. Bye comes out of quality time. Let's continue to get healthy. Mateer needs to be throwing a lot of second, third level routes. They need to run a ton of man practice, what they're going to see the second half of the season. X-Rob, 2/3 of the carries. Blaylock, 1/3 of the carries. Does anybody still believe Barnes is hurt? Or is he in the Kendall Dobie, I'm going to transfer community? You know what I'm saying? And I'm keeping myself healthy. Whichever one it is, I'm glad they're letting the guys who need to play more play more. Rest up, get healthy. Bama's a big game. We win Bama. I don't care if we win 1-0 or if we win 49-48. I don't care. If we beat Bama, guys, be prepared for some fun times in Norman. Some fun times we haven't had probably since Baker Mayfield time. Yeah, I think we're going to be in a position. I think Missouri's the easiest game on the schedule now because they've lost their quarterback, and we are so good against the run. Some of their best things that they do is run concepts, and so that's that. And then LSU, I am now a little more concerned about LSU than I was, because with the coaches being fired, now they're going to oversimplify. They're going to rally around each other. And they're the type of team, if you punch them in the mouth first quarter, they'll quit. But if there's an opportunity for them to play, like Florida did against Georgia yesterday, those guys are going to play hard. LSU, we got both at home, so that helps quite a bit. But I think Missouri is probably the easiest game now, due to their quarterback being done for the season. Anyway, let's get to the super chat. Damn, $50. Okay, I appreciate the gas money, baby. I love it. All the fans crying about our coaching staff. Yeah, dude. Somebody's talking about can the Cam Coleman tampering committee start now? You know what I'm saying? Like, guys, could you imagine if we got somebody like Cam Coleman? Sheesh. I think he's the best. I think he's better than the kid at Ohio State. Ohio State just has a competent offense with a clear and defined role for him. I think the kid at Ohio State is amazing. He's going to be a great NFL guy too. But Cam Coleman, I'm just telling you guys, like, as an ex, killer. They're 1 and 1A. I don't want to act like the other kid. I'm acting like but Cam is just on a terrible scheme, team, environment, culture, all the above. And of course, their coach just got canned. So that whole thing is going to blow up, and he's going to have every opportunity to transfer if he wants. Oh, wow. What's this? Looks like Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win. Cool stuff. Yeah. Shout out to A-Gate. How do I say that name? I don't know how to say it, but I appreciate your $50 gas money. It's always a pleasure. I appreciate it. We do this for fun. I do it for free. But when you guys support it, it definitely helps. Any Q&A? Let me go back. I've got 1 hour and 20 minutes. I'll do 5 minutes. If you guys have any questions, I know you guys have been asking some, and I've been trying to answer as much as I can. Do you think ELP is starting because of offers? Hey, yes. I think ELP offers us the ability to run the ball with a certain level of intensity and moving. It's not a coincidence. On our X-Rob's TD, he cuts backside through EPO's gap. And like I said, if you guys go back and watch what Barry has already queued up on X. He's already queued up some of the plays showing EPO pulling versus whatever we've done in the past, and it's apples and doorknobs. It's not apples and oranges. It's apples and doorknobs. Do you think Hawkins will jump in the portal? I don't. I think the plan all year was for him to play for and be the guy. Mateer playing the way he's playing might put a pickle in that, just because I don't think Hawkins wants to sit 2 years. And I damn sure don't think Mateer's good enough to jump to the NFL now. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. If I'm coach, I let Hawkins play, because I feel like the whole concept of playing for, sitting, and then being the guy is out the window if Mateer can't complete a ball 10 yards down the field, 15 yards down the field. So interesting. I think Mateer's lack of being a stud changes that. So we'll see how that all plays out. Fasusi is absolutely a potential first rounder. True freshman in the SEC. Guys, he's getting beat a couple times a game, but he's going against the top guys every week, and he is winning his fair share, period. He's stoning guys every week as a true freshman. Kid absolutely has first-round potential, and I think Foje has first-round potential. It'll be fun to see how that all manifests. Let's see. Yeah, 63 rushing yards versus 10 and key. Defense, relatively speaking, defense played excellent last night. I don't care what nobody says. We're going to miss tackles. Did you guys watch any other football? Everybody misses tackles, right? It sucks when we do it because we want our guys to play clean and play perfect. But even Georgia missed a ton of tackles. Alabama against South Carolina, where they barely come back and win, they missed a ton of tackles. DMacks, do you think we changed how we talked about that one? I think there should be changes, absolutely. You ask yourself, do I have the absolute best position coach? There's some position groups where you just say no, respectively. OU alumni or not, you're not at OU. We need to be fighting to have the best at every position. We need to upgrade the position. They pay you well enough to be well off the rest of your life so long as you invest correctly. Throw that money in an index account, a brokerage account. You're good for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys are not going to go and be sisters of the poor. They're going to be okay. Yeah. And the alumni are ex-NFL guys. So they need to perform or be at, Texas State, whatever. Anyway, looks like we've wrapped that up. Yeah, guys, I appreciate you guys for jumping on today. Yeah, I went back and touched a couple of the questions I saw. I don't know, guys. I just tell my truth. And I'm not the smartest guy in the world when it comes to football. I don't know our scheme inside and out. So there's probably some scheme to it. Like, somebody could probably come on here and say, Mackie, here's what they're doing. I just don't. It's not easy enough for me to see. But I will say this. It's easy enough for me to watch the game as it's happening and predict what we're about to do. So if I don't watch film and I can predict the plays, then what do you think the defense on the other side of the ball is saying? Which is why it's hard for us to have successful plays. You know what I mean? So that's how I deduce what I'm seeing versus I watch Tennessee, and sometimes I'm like, oh, crap, they're ready to cue it up, and they make the play to sunset. I'm like, whoa, that's a damn good play. Let me give you one more example. If you go back and watch the game first quarter, they run the bang 8. But they run the tight end drag across the formation with it. It's the play. I said this on the post-game pod, so those of you who've already watched that know what I'm talking to. It's the play where they score the first touchdown, but they call the penalty because the guys are looking to the sideline. By the way, first game I've ever heard a ref call that if your shoulders aren't square thing. Yeah, I've never heard that before, right? But on that play, they run the double post, but they sneak the tight end across the formation the other way. By the way, very similar to what Ole Miss did to us to score their last touchdown last week. That's scheme, right? Well, my point is this. They take the touchdown back because of the guys looking to the sideline. About 5 or 6 plays later in the game, they run the same play again. Hype says, oh, they didn't stop it. When they're in zone, we know they're going to carry, and that backside corner is going to sink and get too much depth trying to stay on top of that post route. There's nobody in that flat. Tight end drag. They ran it again, and they didn't score, but I think they got like 29 yards. It's literally like one drive later. If you go back and watch the game, get to the point in the game where they score the touchdown that gets called back for the weird penalty that they call the shoulders not being square. You'll see the tight end catches it and runs to the pylon. He scores. And you're like, damn, he was wide open. They come right back to it one possession later. And same play gets them 29 yards. Yeah, Indiana's got a phenomenal scheme. Tennessee's got a phenomenal scheme. Ole Miss just in the SEC. You ready? So let me give you some scheme concepts. Okay. Bama wants to run inside zone, and they want to run action with a lot of in cuts behind it. Kill you with in cuts, and then their change up to it is to run in cut corner. So they'll run, show the ball, and they'll run a dig. And they kill you with it. It's an 8-yard drag, a 12-yard dig, and then a deep post. And Ty Simpson's reading where they're reading the middle backer to the safety, and whichever area they're vacant, they're throwing it in the hole. It's a hole throw. It's a hole throw, and the receiver's running right into the ball. Boom, and he's really good at it. That's Bama's version of it. Okay. Tennessee runs a very similar concept, except it's more spread horizontally. All right. And they're ISOing your outside guys on their outside guys. It's why they have a particular style of receiver. They want a 6'3", 4'4" dude, and they recruit that type of guy because they want their bigger, stronger, faster guy going against your guy. Hype's going to run a ton of edge screens too. They stretch you horizontally. They want to screen you on the edge. Georgia, great scheme. Georgia still runs a ton of power football. They still run a lot of gap assignment. If you watch, Georgia has a speed guy, a pretty universal guy who needs to be able to run through trash, and then a big guy to bulldoze you. They generally have that running back. What do you call that? Like a bevy of backs every year. All right. And they want to wear you down. Third and fourth quarter, they want to be able to lean on you. And then they've just changed since Bennett. Whatever Stetson Bennett, I believe was his name, where they want a dual threat. Stetson Bennett was a dual threat guy. If you remember, he wasn't gonna chamblish you, but give him the edge. He'll go get 15. Now this kid they got now, Stockton, I think his name is, dude's leading the team in rushing touchdowns. Right? So they want to force you to have to stop the run. They're going to run action over the top. They now run a lot of screen stuff. They've got the Zachariah Branch from USC, right? So they're going to get you on the edge with screens, but they're running a lot of action. Powerful ball and action off of it. Very simple stuff. Let me tell you who also has a phenomenal scheme at SEC, A&M. A&M. The quarterback can throw and run, and he can run like a running back with some respects. Very fast, very live arm, and he's like 6'2", 6'2.5", so he can look over stuff to get the ball where it needs to go. And they've got two receivers that'll kill you. Their scheme, the way they scheme up their receivers, their screen game is also good. It's more of a slip screen than it is an edge screen. They catch the ball coming in, so they're trying to get somebody up the field, and then they're going to get the screen behind it. A little bit different than how Tennessee is on the edge. They want to have space between the overhang or edge defender and their guys, so there's room for the receivers to get it. Whereas A&M's a little closer. They want to get edge defenders or players upfield, and then there are blockers out in front, and they're attacking it that way. But A&M has a phenomenal scheme. A&M scheme's hella good. I haven't watched enough to Kentucky. I watched enough when they played against Texas and Georgia. Was it Georgia they played last week? I know it's better than ours. I just watched it. They don't have good players. They don't have like dynamic players, but they've got a game plan. I was like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing. They scored 35 against Tennessee. Oh, it's Tennessee. They scored 35 against Tennessee last week. Granted, we scored 33, but 3 50-yard field goals and a pick six. Anyway, I'm not gonna go. I love Oregon scheme. I love Indiana scheme. Like for instance, Michigan has a scheme. Michigan wants to be in double tight. They want to run power football. They want to run the blast where they pull two. I mean, like Michigan, their scheme is more traditional and older, but they have a very clear and defined scheme. They're going to run action off of it. They're going to run a little bit more quarterback run game and waggle type bootleg stuff because he's a little bit more athletic, but they have a very clear scheme. What's ours? Lebby had a scheme. Lebby wanted to run midline. Lebby ran a light version of hype scheme. Lebby wanted his receivers really wide. He wanted to run with high tempo. He wanted to throw screens on the edge. He wanted to run pump off of the screens on the edge, and he wanted to run midline. Don't block the last man on the line of scrimmage. Double team the guy inside. If the man starts to crash, quarterback pull it, run the ball. Very clear and defined scheme. What's ours? What's our scheme? some quick game, some QB run game, but it's like there's nothing that builds upon anything. That's nothing that like the defense has to, oh crap, if we bite this too much, they're gonna hit us with that. We don't have it. We don't have it. Anyway, guys, appreciate you guys for today. Hour and a half, solid stuff. Appreciate 74 staying on to the very end. Good stuff. I'm gonna get my chalk, and my goal is to chalk Tuesday. So I'll post on Twitter and in OUI plays people want me to queue up. I'll pick 3 or 4 of the plays you guys want me to queue up, and then I'll find 3 or 4 plays that I want to do as well. And we'll get to it. I said last week I'd start doing it this week, so damn it, hold me to it. Boomer Sooner. Appreciate you guys. Have a phenomenal Sunday. Until we do this again.